you're just joining, it's Carbonara week.
Woo!
We hope you all collected your recipe packs from V-Cell. Just a reminder, if you don't have access to the ingredients or you need a little hand getting them, then do message one of us because we can provide them. Because I know some people have a few difficulties. Okay, so we'll just get started. So as I said, it's Carbonara week this week. This is definitely a firm favourite of a lot of us here at the Penny Pit. Just a reminder who I am. I'm Carrie. I'm a nutritionist at the Penny Pit. One of the big aspects of my job is teaching people how to cook. So this is one of the reasons why I started these cooking sessions, and I know we're all a bit bored in lockdown, so it's really fun. And I've also got my lovely sous chef Derek, who's here to support me through it. Okay, so this week's Carbonara week. So what you do need is your spaghetti. You also need some bacon. You can use pancetta. We've got our bacon here. You need eggs, specifically the egg yolk. So I'm going to show you how to separate the eggs, and then you could possibly use the egg yolks as well. You need some garlic cloves. You need some cheese. We're using Parmesan. If you took one of our recipe packs, you'll have grated cheese. So that's for your carbonara. If you're doing garlic bread along with us, you'll need a baguette. You'll need some butter. Dried parsley is optional, but you'll also need some garlic. Okay, so we'll just get started. So we're going to start with the garlic bread. If you were given one of the part-baked loaves from one of our recipe packs, all you need to do is put it into the oven for 5 minutes on 180 degrees, which is gas mark 4 for 5 minutes, and that'll bake it a little bit. So you can see mine's a little bit browned. So to make the garlic bread, you want to get your butter. So I've got 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to put it into a separate bowl. Put it into a separate bowl, and then you just want to soften it slightly so that it's a bit more manoeuvrable. So just squidging it around the bowl a bit. This is great for kids to do. Whenever you realise how easy it is to make garlic bread, you probably won't want to make it again.
Squidge, is that a technical word?
It is. I know an Irish word for squidging. So you just want to soften it a little bit so that you can spread it more. And next you're going to take 1 garlic clove. If you find it quite difficult peeling garlic cloves, what I do recommend is just putting the palm in your hand, squishing it a little bit so that it crunches, and then the skin should come off a lot easier. So just taking off the ends. So with my garlic personally, I'm going to cut it quite small, just because I don't want large lumps of the garlic whenever I'm eating the garlic bread. Depending on how garlicky you want it, you can add more garlic as well. So just slicing it into wee tiny bits. If you have a garlic crusher, these are great as well because it does all the hard work for you. We've had a few comments about your spaghetti holder. Oh, thanks. That's just resting there for later. For my Prosecco.
And we've got Andrew saying this is first and pans answer to Master Chef.
Yep. So this is a great thing for the kids to do because they'll probably like getting messy. So once your garlic's nice and crushed, add it into your butter. Into the butter, and then give it another really good stir. it's all mixed in really well. Feel free to get a knife and move it about.
Carrie, your granny says hello.
Hi, Granny.
Hi, Gran.
Okay, so once you think it's all mixed in, if you have it, feel free to add a teaspoon of dried parsley. Although this is optional, you don't need to add it. So just a teaspoon and then mixing it in. Making sure it's all soft and nicely mixed. And the next thing I'm going to do with my part baked loaf, I'm going to do little, probably about 2-inch slices the whole way down, like you would see in a normal garlic bread, just the whole way along the loaf. So I've just made like little slices the whole way along. I haven't went the whole way through, just went the whole way along. And then you want to take your butter and garlic mixture and spread it into each of the sections. This makes a really, really nice complement to your carbonara, because I don't think you can have pasta without more carbs. Without garlic bread. It's quite a messy one, so you might want to get the kids to do it as well. And then once you've done that, you want to place it into an oven-proof dish. So I've got mine here, and then we'll bake it for about 8 to 10 minutes, just keeping an eye on it. I'm going to take that. And then just going to wash my hands because they're full of butter.
Garlic.
These one in the oven?
Yeah, put it on for 8 minutes, please.
Shall I just speak to the camera for 2 minutes, Carrie?
Of course, yes.
For those of the children that are doing this with the help of other people, they may want a little bit of a history lesson on what carbonara actually means. Now, carbonara is Italian, and it is thought that because carbonara in Italian is the word for charcoal burner, it is thought that spaghetti carbonara originated in Rome in the 20th century, around about 1940 to 44, and it was the charcoal workers who used to take powdered eggs, Parmesan cheese, spaghetti and pancetta with them for their lunch, and with access to charcoal heated some water and made their own lunch, which then became known as spaghetti carbonara. So there's your history lesson for this afternoon.
There you go.
Lovely, did it.
Thank you, Derek. See, it's not all just like cooking. Okay, so next what we're going to do is make the carbonara mixture. So an authentic carbonara uses only the yolks of the eggs. So I'm going to show you my preferred method of separating a yolk. So if you take your egg, a lot of people like to hit it off the side of things, but I think this actually makes it a lot harder. Hitting it off a flat surface, I feel, makes one single crack. So just give it one good crack. You want to keep the egg upright and let the white fall out as you're separating it. And then you just sort of want to go to each side, separating the egg. Anna, can you get me a bowl, please?
Yeah.
And then eventually you should be left with just the yolk.
Grazie, prego.
Bueno.
There you go.
I'm not fluent in Italian.
Another way you can do it is gently cracking it straight into the bowl and skipping the yolk out.
That's the way I prefer to do it.
Let's see the way you do that. And then you skip out. Oh, you use your hands.
Yeah, because you wash your hands and you wash your hands afterwards. And what you technically have
Oh no. Still
is
there.
one lovely little yolk.
Excellent. So whatever way you find easier.
How many eggs were you using?
So this recipe is going to make for 4 people. So we're going to use 4 egg yolks. If you were cooking it for less people, then you would use 1 egg yolk per person usually. If you're confident in making meringues, this is something that you can do with the egg whites. You can also freeze eggs whenever they're cracked. So there might be another recipe that you would use them in. Or you can just scramble them up and make maybe like an egg white omelette or egg white scrambled egg for your breakfast. Wow. Okay, so now you've got your egg yolks. You just want to use a fork, just give them a little bit of a whisk. And then to that, we're going to add half a teaspoon of black pepper. Just sprinkling that in. And then you're going to add about 80 grams of Parmesan. If you're using the grated cheese that we provided, I would recommend chopping that up a little bit more so it's a bit finer, because I think it might be a little bit too thick. So just add in the Parmesan, or whatever cheese you have. And then stirring it all in so that it makes like a thick paste. Okay, so that should be the delightful looking liquid that you should have. Okay, so we're just going to start boiling our pasta. So I've just got a large pan of water. I'm going to add my spaghetti.
Is that water pre-boiled, or can you use cold water?
I wouldn't recommend using cold water, no. I'd recommend using hot water.
Salted water?
Personally, I don't use salted water. That's just my own preference. But I know most chefs. I think it's just another way of eliminating salt out of your diet, but...
Now I'm going to be very controversial here.
And you would say?
I break my pasta in half, so it
So
doesn't
do I
hang out the
usually,
bowl.
but then I've seen Jamie Oliver
And it's
and he
easier to
didn't.
eat.
So you want to bring your pasta to the boil. That'll take about 8 to 10 minutes, but just remember, don't drain it once you've done it. So next we're going on to our bacon. One thing I would say about raw meat is definitely keep it separate for anything else. So we're quite lucky here, we've got separate chopping boards, separate knives. But just a reminder, if you are cooking with a raw meat, to keep it separate from everything else. So I've got my bacon here. I'm going to trim off some of this fat. because I think there's already enough fat in the bacon. And I'm going to put my bacon into about half a centimetre dice. If you want it bigger than this, then that's fine.
I noticed you use free range eggs, Carrie. Would you recommend free range or can you use any eggs?
Personally, I would. I just think they taste a lot better. But obviously, it's just whatever you have access to. I think eggs are a really substantial part of many people's diet.
Yeah.
And I would always recommend eggs in anyone's diet because they're full of so many nutrients, full of proteins, healthy fats. They're a really quick and easy meal if you can't think of anything as well. If you are vegetarian and you're looking for a vegetarian option, you could take out the bacon and use mushrooms. Or even if you just like mushrooms, you can add mushrooms into this recipe. It's entirely up to you.
Well, Carrie, we've got Jacqueline saying that a couple of our families aren't using bacon. Just due to a few reasons, whether it's taste or preference, or maybe they're vegetarian. But some are using turkey rashers or are meat-free alternatives. What would you suggest possibly using instead?
Well, you could use mushrooms for a vegetarian, or you could use leeks. Turkey rashers are a great alternative because they would be a lot lower in salt and nitrates, which bacon can be quite controversial about. But everything in moderation, I think, as well. But turkey rashers, that's a great idea. I wouldn't even have thought of using that. Or you could use ham, just regular ham.
Some people use pork luncheon meat.
Oh wow, oh brilliant.
What about making it gluten-free or for any other allergies or things like that?
So gluten-free, you would use your gluten-free pasta. You could use lactose-free cheese as well.
Well, a good idea with your pasta sometimes is to put a little olive oil in your pot to stop it sticking. But the important thing is to make sure to give it a good stir partly through its boiling so that they don't stick together. Pasta's good for you, Carrie, isn't it?
Yep. I would never say that pasta isn't good for you. Although a lot of people say it's not.
Really?
Yes, me and Anna were actually talking earlier about how I eat pasta at least twice a week. I think pasta is one of those dishes that if you just want a big comfort meal,
Oh yeah.
like a warm, easy to cook meal, you'll go need it. Carbohydrates are our main source of energy as well, and pasta is very high in that. Also, if you're trying to get more fibre into your diet, you could try getting wholemeal pasta. We're using spaghetti, but I'm sure it would work with other regular pastas.
I know some people that use tagliatelle.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is like the worst knife ever.
Don't get the other one.
No, I'm like nearly there now, but I think it's like the funnest knife.
That
You-
is it.
Bacon looks lovely, Carrie. I've left a little fat on mine because I like fat in my bacon.
Yeah. I like to trim mine off. So once you've diced all your bacon, you're going to heat up your pan. And we'll have to try and get the bacon nice and crispy.
We've got Anthony in West Linton who's using gluten-free pasta just now.
Excellent.
That's what I'm about to do when I go home, is make it a little gluten-free alternative. We've also got some of our little chefs helping along as well. So we've got Sienna, and we've got Lachlan, and we've got Matthew. We've got lots of little.
So it's on,
One,
and then
keep.
yeah, so 5 high. Yeah.
Our mini chefs helping.
Hi guys, thanks for joining us. Guys, this is just a gentle reminder, if you put your garlic bread in the oven, not to forget about it.
By the
We
way,
almost
6 days, I literally walked up to the oven and the alarm went off. I'll
Okay.
show them what it looks like if you want.
Okay, so this is our garlic bread. It's finished, so we're just going to wrap it in tin foil to keep it warm. It smells amazing.
Amazing.
Can I just say, it really does.
Garlic bread.
So just frying off the bacon. Meanwhile, I'm going to crush my other garlic cloves. Just letting that bacon cook. I've got a non-stick pan, so I haven't added any more oil to mine. But feel free to add oil if you don't have it. I would always recommend measuring out your oil. So I would say 1 tablespoon for this. This just controls what you're putting in. So just the same as last time, if you're struggling to get the skin off your garlic clove, just crush it a little bit using the palm of your hand, and then into little tiny pieces.
Angela's saying, asking if she's maybe put a bit too much garlic butter in our baguette as it's not melting.
Maybe.
Can you maybe suggest any?
It maybe just needs a little bit longer in the oven. If you feel that it's browning too much, try wrapping it in tin foil or putting tin foil over the oven-proof dish. That'll just stop it browning, but there'll still be heat in it, so it can melt the butter. Plus, it's also just trial and error. If you've never made garlic bread before, then for one thing, there's never too much butter in garlic bread. So just dice it really small again. The garlic.
We've even got a 3-year-old helping cook.
Oh,
Oh,
excellent.
wonderful.
Somebody's after your job, Carrie.
That's fine. Maybe we can have them as a guest chef.
And she's cooking it with mushrooms.
Ooh, very
Oh,
nice. Feel free to add any vegetables that you like to this. Sometimes we would add peas to it. There's obviously mushrooms. Sure, what other veg that you would like to add. I think that's done. So to check your pasta, I would probably say the easiest way is to get an adult. And either taste it or just break it. We're just waiting for the bacon to fry. I want my bacon a little bit crispy. You'll notice whenever you're cooking the bacon that it goes from that pink colour to a white colour. That's how you know it's starting to get cooked. And then I'm going to add in my garlic.
I don't know about everybody watching, but it smells fantastic in here.
for our bacon to crisp up a little more.
I seem to have a lot of bacon.
Maybe you stole a bit of mine. We just keep stirring it because sometimes, because the garlic's so small, it can have the tendency to burn. Yeah, maybe it'll be good enough.
Smoke alarms!
Evacuation.
Fire alarm test.
So when this is cooked, how are you going to eat your spaghetti? Are you suckers or you cutters?
I'm a cutter. I hate to say it, but I cut mine and then scoop it.
I use a spoon and a fork.
Yeah, see,
See,
those are
Derek,
twisters
I'm
and
the
then
same what we do.
Well, see,
I
I'm
like to
trying
get,
to
I like to get a lot in my mouth
I
at one
hate,
time.
I hate to lose learn this terminology, but it seems like being Derek or suffering.
Carrie, is it true that garlic speeds up the metabolism? This is Brooke's question.
Interesting.
it is an interesting question. I would need to go and research a bit more. I don't want to give evidence or a fact that isn't evidential, but
I'll tell you what it is good for.
keeping vampires away.
If you've got little field mice get into your house in the winter, you know these tiny little field mice. If you put a clove of garlic in the room that the mouse is in, it will move. They don't like garlic. They don't like the smell.
I wish I had known that for my numerous mice and my yummy pots. Okay, if you can see that my bacon's nice and crispy along with my garlic. So now that my pasta's cooked, I'm not going to drain the pasta directly. I'm just going to scoop it straight into my frying pan. This is probably the hardest bit. Also at the same time, if you want to turn the heat off your pan, just stirring it all really well. Just make sure you keep some of the pasta water as well.
Angela says, "Hiya."
So once you've combined all the bacon and the garlic with your pasta, just a reminder that the pan should be switched off because we don't want to end up with scrambled egg. We're going to add our egg yolk mixture with our parmesan and our black pepper. We'll add that straight into our mixture. And then you want to mix it really well in the pan. If you feel like it's too thick, just get a bit of your pasta water. Anna, will you get me a ladle, please? It's in the third drawer. Just keep adding a little bit of your pasta water, just to loosen it up. Just a reminder, do this little at a time. You don't want to add too much.
Derek might have to use a spoon.
You're trying to get like a creamy effect. Did you add your egg?
I'm just going to add my eggs now. Pan is off.
Excellent.
I can see you putting a bit of the water in there, Carrie. Why are we doing that?
It's just to loosen it off. Sometimes it can stick together with the egg yolks. You're trying to get the cream effect without actually adding the cream, almost. Mine's still a tiny bit thick. Any Italian will tell you how important pasta water is. I've actually seen them making carbonara
Yeah.
on TV without even using eggs, using just pasta water, which is quite impressive. Okay, I think mine's pretty much done.
It's a nice temperature in here now.
Yeah, it's nice and cool now.
I'm just going to clear up my station a little bit and then get it all served. Don't forget if you want to add a little bit more parmesan after you've served it. How you getting on, Derek?
Yes, we're nearly there. It's not looking as good as yours is.
How have you found this recipe?
This is my first time ever cooking carbonara. Normally I buy it out of a glass jar, you know. It's quite interesting. I think it's about keeping it silky smooth, I think, and making it nice and creamy. So yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying this.
I always thought that carbonara would be a really difficult one to cook. But it's quite,
Yeah, it's quite
it's
simple.
a simple recipe.
I'm sure the kids will enjoy doing this.
Well, Carrie, your manager here has commented to say, what have I missed? That looks like a Prosecco glass.
Drinking on the job, Angie, I think. That was the holder pasta. It was Lorna Bellini's very inventive ideas. I think she took it from maybe your roof.
We've also got a question asking, if we don't eat it all today, is it okay to maybe pop it in the fridge and reheat it tomorrow?
Yeah, it's okay to pop it in the fridge. I would recommend storing it for no longer than 3 days. Just because it's regulations. So today's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so I would have it eaten by Friday. I would heat it up quite slowly as well because you don't want the eggs to scramble.
A little bit of parmesan on the top, I think. Voila. And a pinch of black pepper.
Derek's going all fancy. So this is my end result. My carbonara. And I've got my garlic bread as well. If anybody has any more questions, if you want to type them in, that'd be great. We can take a few more questions. But this really is, once you get the hang of it, it might seem a little bit tricky. You want to show yours?
No, yours is much better. Yours.
It can be a little bit tricky and it can be a little bit daunting, but don't let that put you off trying to make it because it is a really speedy, tasty dish and kids do really love it. Let me know how it tastes. It's the garlic bread I want. Is there any more questions?
I'm surprised you can taste the egg and the creaminess through it.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yours looks really good. Yours looks like extra creamy.
So we've actually not had many questions tonight. Helen's said that it was surprisingly quick and easy to make.
Thank you. It is.
We've got so many people saying how tasty it is.
That's good. Guys, try and get your photos into us as well. We love seeing photos, especially of the children making it along with us.
Could we maybe talk about some of the nutrition side of things of that dish? How much salt, kind of sugar compared to maybe a prepackaged one?
So one thing Derek did mention is that he does usually use pre-jarred sauces. These are quite quick and easy, but once you get the hang of this is probably a lot easier than buying the pre-jarred sauce and a lot healthier. Pre-jarred sauces are usually very high in salt, which I mentioned last week. The Scottish diet is very high in. It contributes to high blood pressure, heart disease, so it is something which I feel little things in our diet we can alter and it'll reduce our salt intake. The other thing that you'd be quite surprised about, but even in savoury sauces like carbonara, is to add a lot of sugar to the sauces as well. Sugar is another high part of our diet that we actually eat too much of, so things like that. I mentioned earlier about the pasta. If you want to add more fibre to your diet, then try pick wholemeal pasta. And then you can add some veggies into it, so you can add some mushrooms, some peas, and then that'll contribute to your 5 a day as well. So feel free to do any of these.
And for the adults, a small glass of Valpolicella. A small glass.
Or Prosecco.
Or Prosecco.
Yes. Same with the garlic bread as well. Pre-packaged garlic bread will have a lot of preservatives in it, probably a lot of salt. You can really use any bread for that as well. I would say bread that's actually a little bit stale and going off would probably be better for it as well, because it'll give that crispy effect. So if you feel like there's a loaf of bread, oh I can't do anything with that, I'll just need to throw it out, just whip up some of the butter and the garlic mixture, spread it on, and there you've got some garlic toast or some garlic bread.
Yeah, you can use your garlic baton, and once it's been cooked you can actually slice it, and then you can put some tinned tomatoes on it and some peppers.
Ooh.
And make a bruschetta.
Oh, I love bruschetta.
Oh, I love bruschetta.
So, what is next week's recipe?
Well, this is the one I've been waiting for. This is chili con carne.
Oh.
One of my favourite recipes. My dad makes really good chili con carne, so anytime I go home I'm always like, yes, when he makes it. But I've been in competition, sort of thinking that I can make one that might actually be better with them, so I'm going to share it with you guys.
Oh, nice. Are you serving it with rice or?
We haven't decided yet. The good thing about chili con carne is it's quite versatile. We're thinking of maybe doing enchiladas or possibly baked potatoes, or even more possibly homemade nachos. So that'll be quite exciting. So don't forget to tune in. A reminder about the recipe packs. They're available from our PSG pantry on Tuesdays and the B-Cell pantry, which is on the high street. But if you are having any problems getting to any of the pantries, or there's no recipe packs left, then please just message our Facebook page and we'll sort you out with one.
Well, we've just had some cracking news come in. Little Sienna, who was eating the garlic bread, has bit into it and her 2 front teeth have came out.
Oh my goodness. Hopefully the tooth fairy comes for you, Sienna. Thank you very much guys for joining in. Hopefully you can join us next week and you enjoyed the recipe. Don't forget to send us some of your carbonara photos and let us know what you think of it as well. Thank you everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.